we were curious if you could talk to our listeners about the differences between what unconscious and conscious biases are.
So, first of which, I don't think there's any distinction. I think unconscious biases are just the muted ones that we try or have learned not to express. The conscious ones are the ones where, we active discrimination, all that. But I think the unconscious biases are actually much more pernicious in the sense that there's an editing function that we all do, and it's a good thing that we have some level of filter, but then that stuff still shows up sideways in terms of how you side-eye somebody or how the tone of voice that you use. I think all of that is still present. So the notion of unconscious bias is also problematic because the implicit assumptions test. Okay, so that tells you it's already there. That's the first thing. Now, the second thing is that a lot of work is being done and a lot of training is being done around implicit unconscious bias, and it has been shown that it has the least impact in terms of changing behavior. Okay, so I can understand that, oh my goodness, I have implicit bias, and therefore I have greater consciousness around it. But the thing is that stuff is so hardwired in us that it takes a bit of time, more than a minute, to be able to shift that. So what I think the challenge is in all of this is to recognize that I believe such biases are inherent in the human condition, and that for us to strictly categorize them around social identities and the like is a disservice to the way that they grew to be present in us, the context in which they express themselves, and the meaning that it has for each of us in our particularity. So what I think is important is that we know it's there, that we work to become more aware of them, but I think it's a part of something that's a much more complex picture than we want to begin to grapple with on any level. Those of us who are analytically trained people know that even before we could form language, these biases were hardwired into us. It's like you walk past that person who's different from you and your parent squeezes your hand, and then you learn that, that's something to be concerned about. And so how do we help people grapple with something that is so ingrained at that level? I don't know. And we act as if, again, that's one of these things that in an hour and a half, then that's gone, and it's not. It isn't.
Yeah, it's like a lifetime of work, I think.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
With that, what would be the first steps to start working through those biases, or at least to bring awareness around those, or if there's something that you do for your own unconscious or conscious biases that you could share?
Well, I know that I have a whole gamut of biases that I'm working on. And a lot of the work that I need to do is, when I'm aware of them, is to look at them very directly. I mean, very directly, in a way that it's almost unflinching. I was noticing, it's hard to say this, but I was noticing that I was grading papers last week, and there was a person of a particular identity where my response to the paper had all of this prejudice and discrimination in it, and that the quality of what I was offering to help this student was far less than I was offering other students. And so I was able to step back and see it, but I had to deal with my own internalized shame around recognizing that this was even the case. Now that was just the first step. Then the second step is then I had to read the assignment again and to recognize that even in recognizing my own biases, the noise that was contributing to that continued. So on one hand, I was conscious of it. Another hand, I was trying to rectify it. And what was overriding, as Libby was talking about, is that there's something that's hardwired in there that's going to take more than the awareness for me to deal with it. But the first step is, being aware of it and looking at it. And the second step is then taking action to mitigate it. And the third step is to recognize it's not going to be done in 5 minutes.
Right.
It isn't for any of us at any time.